It is showtime, or so StreamYard tells me. Hi, it's 4 o'clock Sunday Stories, and I am Ernie Boxall, your storyteller. My take on the week. It's been a good week. I've done 2 webinars to business owners in America about how to shine instead of shiver when you face a live audience, or now that camera. Well received. A networking crew called On the Bus and an individual client who I'm hoping to contact later today to set up a full webinar program where we go on a deep dive into the keys to unlock the chest, which will develop his awesome presentations. And when you do these webinars, these presentations abroad, it's really interesting when you see that the context in which it's speaking is met. Now, I would think people would normally assume that American business owners are very confident when they present themselves to a live audience. We all know of the sales greats, the workshop geniuses, and the people we see on YouTube, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, who go through these presentations and who talk about lifting people up to the top of the mountain or bringing them up to increase their sales, when perhaps my audience goes the other way. I deal a lot with people who use the words anxiety or dread when they come to face the live audience, even in America. And for me, that journey doesn't go up to the top of the mountain. It goes down deep. I say we go deep down to the bottom of the ocean to find the keys to the treasure chest, which will unlock their awesome presentation. Because the words anxiety and dread, for me, give it away. It's an emotional issue rather than perhaps a content issue. I'm sure they are all, and I know that they are all very good in what they do. Many are close to being leaders in their field: IT, marketing, solicitors, but a lot of them work in the office. They don't often go out and have to talk to a live audience. So even at that level, it becomes an issue. Now, when I talk to them, and I talk to them about the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 system, 5 questions to ask, the 4 P's of perfect presentation, the 3 questions which will identify whether your webinar, your workshop, your presentation has been a success, the 2 questions which will allow you to understand what the next move is, and the 1 question is, what is the next move? And it's amazing how often when we talk particularly about the 4 P's, prepare your presentation, practice your presentation, the posture you use when you present to a live audience, and the performance. Everything is a performance. I am performing now. Nerves a little, but the point is, this is a presentation that I've been giving now for 6 years. So I'm fairly comfortable with the words that I'm going to say. Now, big shout out to everyone that came along, and they really did own up to their anxieties. And we talked about ways to alleviate, to lessen those anxieties so they can prepare and practice and deliver their presentations with more impact, so that they make the most of the opportunities to talk, maybe as I am now, to a live audience, to an audience that is watching, or even in a recorded webinar. To me, it's incumbent on everyone to make sure that the presentation they give is a presentation excuse me, which will make the most of the opportunities to talk to other people, to other business owners, and in many cases to people who are, for that moment, their sales force. The people who I are expecting to go out, and when someone asks them if they know of anyone who is skilled in our field, in our craft, our names will be first on the list. I'm hoping that if someone asks anyone here if they know of a man who's a good business storyteller or a good storyteller, my name will be highly recommended towards the top of that list. You see, the ability to talk to that live audience, the ability to talk to that camera, does set you apart from the people who, for the moment, do suffer that anxiety and dread. So, one piece of advice, if you take away from this, is to listen to the 4 Ps to prepare your presentation. Now, mainly it may be a 40 or 60-second pitch to a networking group, but even if it's a 40-minute keynote or an hour's workshop, prepare it, edit that preparation, make sure that the words you are producing, the words that you're saying, have the most impact. And the way to do that is with the second P, practice. Practice, practice, practice. I've been on stage, and for that stage performance, there were 6 weeks of preparation, 3 nights a week and 3 hours a night. And then on the final week, it was probably 5 nights. And it went well. It worked. And it worked because we prepared and practiced. Now, the third P is your posture. There is no point at all walking to the front of the audience, in my opinion, and putting your hands in your pockets or behind your back or rubbing to them together nervously, because these are magic weapons. They're going to take you from where you are now to where you want to be in a few years' time. That upward curve by going down deep. So use the hands to make sure that the whole of the audience is listening. Use your eyes to find out whether all the audience is taking notice or whether people are looking down at their phone. The fourth P is to perform. All the world's a stage, and all the players, all the men and women, merely players. They have their entrances and their exits. They've also had their 4 Ps. They have prepared. They've practiced. Their posture is such, and the performance is such, that you believe that they are the characters that they are acting. I've been looking a lot recently at YouTube performances of Peaky Blinders and the Cray Twins, and the star roles, in fact all of the roles, you find yourself saying, geez, I wouldn't like to meet him. Either on a dark night or when he's a bit upset with me. And yet, they're actors. They're probably really nice people. Some are, some aren't. But I doubt whether they are as evil as the people they portrayed. So in every situation, make sure that you perform, and that you perform to give yourself the best opportunity to take that next step, to bring those keys up from the chest, and to show your awesomeness in your next presentation. That's been my week. Politically, it's not been good. With the Tory party, I've been a Tory almost all my life, particularly the Thatcherite Tory. I worked in factories during the Wilson-Callaghan eras, when engineering companies were being shut down left, right and centre because the unions, in my opinion, the unions absolutely hogtied managers and the workforce. I know that within my engineering companies, the firms I worked for, we were heavily restricted by the number of strikes we took a week, a month, a year. And we lost our jobs. The factories closed. And the union officials then moved on to the next factory, where their intention was to shut that one down. So that was my Tory upbringing. Once Baroness Thatcher left the stage, the Tory party went downhill. I had great hopes that, having brought us into Brexit, which I voted for and still believe in, had great hopes that Boris would be prepared to lead the country. Something that, as we can now see, he failed to do. He left the country in the hands of Liz Truss, a woman who had an impossible job, who then handed it over to the latest PM. I can't pronounce his second name, Rishi. I can't pronounce his second name well, so I won't try. But having done some investigations into him, he looks as if he is another one off the Klaus Schwab track line, the one that falls off country after country after country, going for the global agenda, the climate change agenda, the Green New Deal, the deals which will hand all of us over into the hands of these globalists. Funnily enough, since many socialists seem to go for the climate change, liberals as well, and they go for the Green New Deal, I'm wondering if they realise that it takes us straight into the hands of billionaires who want to control everything that we do. It's already happening. Unfortunately, it looks as if it'll happen in America unless Carrie Lake can take Arizona, which will be a big feather in President Trump's cap. Florida is now virtually red for a generation. Texas, red for a generation. Ohio, red for a generation. Carrie Lake will make Arizona red for a generation. And with that, you are now looking at nearly 100 votes towards that 217, which captures the presidency for 2024. But will it happen? I don't know. I was skeptical about the red wave because I'm pretty sure that the FBI, the CIA, the DOJ, the Washington Times, the New York Times, the Washington Post wouldn't let it happen. And it looks as if they haven't. It's scary times, not for me, scary times for my kids and grandkids. Because what's happening now will last that generation. It's a sad note to end on, but it's got to be said. And I wish more business owners would bite the bullet and start talking out against it. And I've been told not to mix politics and business. That's like telling a business owner that went to war not to bother. Look after your business, son. Somebody else will do the fighting for you. Not for me. The fight is still there. The fight is just beginning. And it may not end before I die. But I'll still be fighting it. Because what's happening to the world is a scary, scary business. I hope I'll be back next week. And if I am, I hope you're there with me. Have a great day. Have a great week. See you next Sunday.